That should be all right.
All right.
I don't know why my camera won't focus though. It's whatever.
It's all good. You might maybe just mess with the thing there a little bit.
I tried like
Oh, there you go.
doing that, but then it just goes back to normal. All right. Oh well, whatever. I'll be shiny.
This is Johnny Evans with Music Seeds, the podcast that talks about the music that made us today. I always feel like I'm going to fuck your name up. Dustin Foulk.
Folk, yeah, like folk songs, you know.
Oh, there you go. He does a little bit of engineering work, and he does a little bit of making music, and we're hoping that he does a lot more here in the future. So I thought it'd be a great interview to have. He's a little new to this, but I think he's going to do just fine. So I want to know, when was the first time you remember hearing music? Like you first heard something, you're like, wow, that's really cool.
First time really hearing music and getting into it, man. I remember back in the day with my mom and my dad, they used to always take rides on their Goldwing motorcycle, right? And when my dad would pull in, you'd always hear the same song, man. It was Dire Straits. It was Dire Straits.
Brother in Arms?
No, Walk of Life, man.
Yeah.
Walk of Life. He was always playing that song driving around on his Goldwing. And it was like one of the earliest songs, I guess, that I can remember from my childhood that I just always remember hearing. And I think it had more to do with like personal reasons. You know, like I said, remember my dad pull in on his motorcycle and it had that click in my memory, you know. But man, I when I was looking that up, that actually came out just a few years after I was born, in like 85 or 86. So I don't know if that was something that my dad listened to like right when it came out, or if it was, I don't know the actual year, you know, of when I can remember that. But that's one of my earliest songs, man, that I can remember hearing.
That came out in 85, around 85, 86. That was like the pinnacle. That was like the peaking point at MTV. And like I remember that video being on rotation like crazy, that Walk Life. And it had
back when they used to play music, right?
What's that? No, I remember that song thoroughly. I got to see him years ago out in Red Rocks. It was a really good show. Like he was not with the band, he was on his own, but it was really good stuff. So was that like a lot of stuff that you heard growing up then? Did you hear a lot of like that kind of music, like that kind of rock and roll?
My parents listened to a lot of that. They listened to like Dire Straits, like Eddie Money, stuff like Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember them listening to that. My mom listened to a little bit of like Johnny Cash and Elvis, just because our grandma had a bunch of those records.
Yeah.
I wish I knew what happened to those records, man. Wish I knew where they were now.
I hate telling you this. I got all my grandparents' old Johnny Cash records. Right, that one's sitting right behind me. That's some of the ones you saw earlier.
Oh wow.
So it's like one of those, like, I don't know if I want to play these because they're like, you don't want to ruin them. So that's cool, man. Like Johnny Cash is like the shit, dude. Do you remember the first piece of music that you connected with? Like were you like in your teenage years, or were you getting younger? Do you remember hearing something going, wow, this is really cool. I love this, man. This is
when I first started really getting into music myself and like, really listening to music was it'd be grade school for me. When like new metal was like really big. Korn, Limp Bizkit, System of a Down, all that stuff started coming out.
Yeah.
And that was like grade school, early high school, maybe even late into high school. That's all I was into, man, was all the new metal. Because growing up, like I said, my parents were kind of into that, like teetering on the rock and roll edge, but they listened to a lot of country too.
Yeah.
And when that music came out, the new metal, I was like, yeah, it's different, and there's so much energy behind it and teenage angst, I guess.
Yes.
That it really connected with me, and it was, I don't know, I got into it pretty hard.
SOAD, System of Down, just fucking amazing. Like how they can like do the shit they do, like this, like the the slow and the fast, you know, just the tempo changes.
They're such an amazing band, dude. They just released a few
I
new
heard them.
songs.
Yep.
Yeah, really good stuff.
I'm excited to hear. Even Surge released an album last Friday, just so you know, in case you didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, I actually had to turn one of my buddies on about it because I didn't know about it either. I sent it to him. He's like, "No fucking way!" And I'm like, "Yeah." So
Dude,
check
I've
that
only
out.
seen those guys live one time,
Oh,
but
really?
that was the most epic thing I've ever seen. So before the album, they had an album called "Steal This Album" that came out,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a song on there called "Ah Yeah You." It's like a bunch of vowels, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was before the song had even came out. That's what they opened to. Pitch black on the stage. All their guitar amps were like laced in this neon purple, and they're all wearing like dark uh, robes with hoods on the stage. So like you could see them kind of on the stage, but not really. You're just seeing all the illuminated lights behind them,
Mm-hmm.
and then just like the most graphic like scenes up on the big screen. Um, just like I don't know, it was like time lapse photos of like bugs decaying and things like this. But man, having them come out to a song that like, you know, when you love a band and they are announcing they have new music coming out, but you haven't heard it yet, and then you get to see it live before it actually
Yeah.
hits the streets. I'm like, oh man, so in love with them after that.
And I love that too, man. I like when you go see live bands, it's amazing like how some people are like, just play the hits. I'm like, dude, play me some new shit. I want to hear what you got, man. You know, I mean, that's why I'm a fan, you know, that's why I'm listening to them, you know, and like I went and saw Corn too, like you just mentioned Corn, man, always put on a good fucking show too, man. And Jonathan Davis, man. Oh, he's quite the engineer too himself. What was the first piece of music that you bought? Do you remember that?
I was thinking about this pretty heavy, man. And the first thing I actually went out and purchased myself, which I don't even know, thinking about it, if I was even really allowed to buy it at the time. But there was a album that came out by this guy. He was an actor, Adam Sandler, right? Remember him, right?
Oh yeah, just named vaguely familiar. Yeah.
But he had an album come out called "They're All Gonna Laugh at You."
Yes, I remember
You
that.
remember that?
Oh
It had
yeah.
some classics, dude.
Oh man.
There was the goat. It had the piece of shit car song on there. I
Yes.
don't.
Oh
I remember buying that from a CD store called Disc and Dat,
yeah.
downtown, where I grew up. And now that I'm like looking back at it, man, I'm like, I was definitely in school still, and there was some parental advisory,
Yeah.
pretty heavy stuff on that album, but it wasn't really even like about the music. It was more comedy in
Yeah.
that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
He does write a few good songs though, man, mostly for comedy aspect though.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. He could definitely pick up the acoustic guitar and jam out some
But I mean, as funny as it is, man, that's one of the first CDs I ever remember buying.
shit. And they don't make like the comedy albums. I mean, it's like you see comedy specials more than anything now, which is cool. But like
Yeah.
comedy albums, man, like it was like him and even Chris Rock had one out at one time too. And there was a few artists that had them out there. That's cool. That's really cool.
The
He's not.
Weird Al Yankovic albums too, man.
Oh,
I
huge.
remember that was right around the same time. I don't know why I was into that stuff.
Oh man, that shit's gold, dude. That's awesome, dude. Like to make a parody, dude. That's not that easy, dude. Fuck, man.
It's just all about having fun and a good time, I guess. Maybe that's why
Yeah,
I liked it so much.
me too. I love that shit. I eat it up. I actually just listened to a podcast with Weird Al on Questlove, which was really, really good.
Really?
Questlove's a huge fan, dude. Like, it was cool
I
to
wonder
hear.
what he's up to these days, man. Is he still just
Yeah,
writing parody songs or
retired from what I heard, dude. He just like he did his last big tour, and now that they're not really touring anymore, he's like, I think he's doing okay. He like has a place in Hawaii and stuff, so I don't think he's hurting too bad. So
you I'm sure you've seen the movie
oh,
UHF.
UHF almost.
Oh my goodness. I can't find it anywhere, like really to watch it again. I was wanting to show my wife that movie, man, but it's like one of those movies that you remember that was so funny and a great movie, but it's just like dropped off the face of the earth.
No, it's like it's crazy how some movies will do that. Like you like you hold on to your like VHS tapes if you remember that, and like some of that shit's not even out there. It's like wow, it's crazy to even run across that. They actually brought that up in that podcast about how that movie didn't do shit, and now it's like one of the
I
biggest.
bet.
It's one of the biggest cult movies ever. It's just because
Yeah.
he has such a following and everything. Do you remember the any instruments? Did you get any instruments growing up when you were around, or did you get in that stuff later?
So growing up, early life, never really played any instruments. I remember at my grandmother's house there was like an old, um, not like a piano, but like an organ, a small organ that I'd mess around with every once in a while when I went to my grandma's, because you flip the million switches on the top and it would make all these different sounds. Really, really just messing around on that, man, when I was a kid. But um, when I was 16 is when I started playing the bass. So that's probably I mean, I sing a little bit. I know we can get into that
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
a different note,
Very.
but I did a little singing before that. But the first real instrument, man, that I got into was the bass guitar when I was 16.
Yeah.
My best friend at the time decided, I don't know why he wanted to do it, but he decided that he was going to get an electric guitar and an amp. And we hung out all the time. And I noticed over a few months of him playing, like he was progressively getting better at the guitar, right? And I was just like, well, if he can do this, I'm gonna go get something. And I'm like, I don't want to get a guitar though. I'm gonna get something to complement it. So I got a bass, and man, we played for years. It
Yeah.
was it's outrageous. But yeah, that was the first instrument I got into, man. 16 years old, bass guitar.
And you're still doing it today.
Hell yeah.
Anybody bass players that influenced you?
Oh, dude, Les Claypool is like one of the gods, right? On the bass.
Have you seen him live?
I have. We just saw him last. Was it? I think it was last year, like right before
The Adler?
all this COVID stuff started, dude. We had it up here. It was they had the weirdest lineup, man. They had Slayer, right?
Yeah, I remember
They
that.
had Phil Anselmo's um what is whatever band he's playing with now, but they do a lot of Pantera.
Yeah, they did, huh?
Yeah.
They
And then and
covered all
then randomly Primus was in the lineup.
that. Primus can be heavy though, dude.
I mean, I love Primus, and yeah, they can be heavy. It was just really, it was weird seeing all these metal bands and then Primus come out,
Yeah.
but that's okay. But yeah, man, Les
That's what I
Claypool.
like about him, man, is that he can be like influence like so many people across the board. I mean, look at he's got that project with Sean Lennon, that's just amazing, I think. It's fuck. I don't know if you've ever heard that. It's just so good, man. It's just
It's perfect for him.
yeah.
It's almost like a smash between the Beatles with like some nice pop bass in there, man.
Oh
It's
hell
it's
yeah.
it's nice. I like it.
Now, him and what's the bass player for Metallica now?
The bass player for Metallica now is Robert Trujillo,
Yeah.
Trujillo, who used to be the bassist for Ozzy,
Yeah.
but now he's been Metallica.
Him and Les just released a little mini movie on Rolling Stone. You should check out that
Yeah,
Les Claypool's son made. It's like 5 minutes long. It's like a western kind of thing, and then they jam at the end of it. Just check it out. Really good.
that's awesome, man. There's one thing I remember about Les Claypool is he actually tried out for Metallica
Yeah.
after Cliff Burton died.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember what interview I saw that in, but I'm like, man, could you even imagine if Les Claypool like got the job in Metallica? That band would not be the same.
No, it would not be the same. No. They even said they go, dude, you're fuck. I remember from when I heard from that interview, it was like, dude, you're fucking amazing, but you got your own thing going on, man. Like,
Right.
dude, good luck. Like they knew what he had, but it wasn't their thing. But they knew it was a good thing. So were you in choir and stuff when you were a kid then?
I was in choir, yep.
What was
I wanted to be in band when I was in school too. I don't remember why I never was. I know I had like, I remember having this like itch or inkling to play the saxophone
Mhm.
when when band first gets introduced to you in school and they're like, they pretty much ran us around and looked at all the different band instruments. Like you'd look at like a French horn and a saxophone, and they'd play it for you a little bit, and you'd be like, oh, which instrument would you want to play? And that was the one that I chose, man, was the saxophone. But for whatever reason, I didn't get into band. I went into choir. I don't know
Yeah.
if my parents just kind of said, "Hey, we weren't the richest family, man." It was probably
Oh,
something
I
to do
feel
with
you.
money, but probably something to do with money. But um, now that I think of it, man, that might be something I want to get into in the future too.
Yeah. There you go,
Yeah,
man.
why not?
Dabble, 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 man. You never know what you can come out with. I was telling somebody like, it's crazy you bring that up. Like, I was telling somebody that you don't hear saxophone in much music anymore, but you heard it in like 80s music like crazy. Like, there's so many big hits that had saxophone in the fucking music and shit. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's like, jam bands that have sax players and things like that. But as far as like pop and rock and roll and things like that, you don't really hear that as much as you
You
used
don't
to.
hear it as much.
No.
That's kind of like what you and Bo were talking about too with the steel guitar. You
Yes.
don't hear it as much as you used to, I guess.
No, no. And that's the thing that's crazy is that sometimes that instrument, whatever it could be, that's not the same that you hear normal. It can be like, wow, that's really cool to hearing something, different and original, especially with like, being able to with all the pedals and stuff you can do now and everything, and like in like guitars and bass, you can use that stuff in like, like horns and things and stuff too. I've seen it been done. It's really cool.
I've got a new track I'm working on right now with a sampled French horn sound in there. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Did you fall into like a heavy practice in like when you were learning the bass, or did it take a lot of discipline for you to like learn how to play?
It I played a lot. Okay. I wouldn't say it took a lot of discipline because for whatever reason, when I got that bass, man, I played it every day. I mean, it was for hours every day,
Mhm.
and it wasn't like a struggle either. It was just like a genuine love and like interest, I guess. So I dove deep in. I really did. I played a lot. Um, I remember I had my first 4 string bass. I didn't have it for long until I traded it off for a 5 string.
Nice.
Because like I said, all that new metal was popping up
Hmm.
around the area, and to get those really low, gnarly sounds, you needed a 5 string bass, man.
Sweet.
Got to get that low B. But
Yeah.
that kind of changed everything up for me too, because um, it's almost like a new instrument at that point. I had only been playing a 4 string bass for maybe 6 months, and I got a 5 string. I don't play a 5 string anymore, by the way.
You play six now?
No, just
Just
four string.
four? I thought maybe you moved up more.
No, oh man, I watch a lot of Davey 504 on YouTube.
Yeah.
That would be another bass player that is really inspirational to me right now. Right now, I guess
Yeah.
Davey 504 on YouTube. He's just a bass just machine, dude.
Nice.
He bass battles people all the time on there, and just it's more of like a bass hierarchy, I guess. Like he just always talks about the bass is the best instrument, and every other instrument is just B
Minimal.
grade.
Hey man, bass and drums are the rhythm of the music, man.
I hear you.
It's dude. I could go on and on about like a lot of my favorites. Um, so did it? So you're basically saying it came to you naturally then? Like you
It
just
really did.
yeah.
Like throughout the years, like, I never took any lessons. Okay, I'd say I wanted to.
Yeah.
There's been times when I wanted to, and I'm not gonna say I haven't learned things from like watching videos
Well,
online, little tips and tricks, things like that. But I've never actually went and taken a lesson.
yeah.
So I've really just like I've kind of prided myself on that. I'm like, I will get better being me and doing my own thing. Um, it's kind of hurt me over the years a little bit because I've never really learned to play any songs. Like ever, even after picking up the bass and being playing it now for what, like 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't really learn songs. A lot of people that I have come over here, they'll play all sorts of different songs that you hear on the radio or that
You know.
you'll hear on classic rock that
Mhm.
and I have a hard time playing along with some of those,
Yeah.
um, because I don't know. I've always wanted to make my own music. I
Yeah.
I, I was like, oh yeah, I'll let them play their song. Why do I
Yeah.
want to play their song?
That's
I don't know.
cool. That's really
It's
cool.
weird, but
No, man, that's your own right
I
there.
forget what the original question was, man. I'm off on a tangent probably, but
No, it's all good, man. So when you were younger, did you have like a group of friends that were like into a certain kind of music, or did you cling to like, oh man, I dig these guys. I'm gonna hang out with these guys because they're into what I'm into.
it was always about metal, man.
Yeah,
It was really always about metal for me, hanging out with my friends.
yeah.
We like the hardest music you could find is what we'd try and listen to, and just loud and just the screaming, man. When you're younger and you get to screaming along with some of those songs, it releases so much tension. I feel even now, you listen to some of those songs and you just belt out the lyrics and sing along.
Mhm.
Just have this sense of euphoria afterwards.
Oh man, I feel you, brother. I love it. It's the greatest feeling ever. Like especially when you're in your car by yourself or you got your headphones on at home and you just like, man, like, especially now more than ever, it's like one of those things that you just like grabs you.
Yeah, metal, man. I don't know. And even in my 20s, it was still metal, like Killswitch Engage and Avenged Sevenfold,
Mm-hmm.
all those bands, dude. Senses Fail. I don't know if you'd call them metal, but
Yeah,
Senses Fail, dude. That's one of my favorites, I'd say.
nice. So do you feel like that when that music when you were younger played a pivotal role into what you're doing now?
As far as like what I'm creating,
Yeah, yeah.
I think so. I really do. I think I've kind of been on all the sides, with my parents introducing me to country when I was younger and me going through the new metal stage. And now that I'm old,
Oh, whatever.
I really feel like I kind of just, yeah, I do pull from a lot of different areas and I mesh things together. It's all kind of been an influence along the way.
Mhm.
Um, I always talk about how I just love metal, but I don't see it come through in my music a lot. My is more rock pop, I guess, oriented. But
But Bo was saying, Ben was saying that he wants to do like a country pop kind of thing, and
mm,
I have props to you for like, like you gotta grab from everywhere, man, because that's who you are. When somebody says, hey, you got to be this certain kind of genre, you got to be this kind of thing, it's like, fuck you, I want to do my own thing, it's like the more style you have on your own, the more you own it, the more people feel it too. It's like a big thing. They feel that when you're not trying to um market something, like you actually play what you love.
yeah, I feel like a lot of artists kind of narrow themselves in doing that or doing the opposite of that these days.
Yeah.
They get themselves into a niche group and um, can't expand, I guess,
Yep.
their listening base because they're so stuck in like this is their sound. Like
Hmm.
their sound is almost from song to song is there's not a lot of difference.
Yeah. And the artists that do it, I respect a lot. Like there's quite a bit of artists out there that you believe it or not, like if you really delve into it, you're like, man, they're really trying to like push the envelope a little bit, And
Mm,
I always check out like Rolling Stone and read like they have a artist interviewing artist, and it's always cool watching artists um play off each other, like, okay, how did you do this and how did you do that? And they kind of develops like, okay, I'm going to try that out, and just trying out something different can be like the biggest like change in your style that you would never believe that you could try and go down like say like that rabbit hole. Was there a certain song or album that you hold very dear to yourself that you always seem to go back to?
I don't know, man. One of the biggest albums, I guess, for me. Um, you know how much I love Coheed and Cambria.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like their In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 album.
Yeah.
I won't listen to it for months, sometimes like a year.
Yeah.
And then I'll put it on and I will just listen to the album from front to back. And it's like it brings up so many memories, but at the same time, that album to me is so all over the place from the quietest pretty sounds to just the heaviest guitars. It's so from A to Z and back again that I can't stop listening to it when I put it on. I don't know.
It's beautiful, man. It's amazing.
I love
I
those
love
guys
hearing
so
that.
much.
Oh man, gotta love when you get stuff like that though. Like you just it's Like, because then you start dissecting it. You're like, what do they do there? Because like sometimes you discover new things too that you never realized before. Like,
My
what were they
goodness.
doing there with that sound? Or wow, I'm noticing that, you know, like the guitar more here, or the vocals more here. Or it's like it's amazing. Like when you like really love something and you start dissecting it, you start picking out other things too. It's really like a great feeling to have when you're like when you really love music. It's
It's
good.
like what they say about movies too, right? Like when,
Yep.
you know, you go back and watch a movie, you'll find something that you didn't see the last time. You're absolutely right. You'll hear like um a little guitar lick or something that you never really caught before. Like it was always there, but for some reason this time when you listen to it, it stuck out to you and you're like, whoa.
Yep. And then you go back and you're like, what did they do there? And like I love learning how like sometimes like if they like talk about it like or like if it's that big or that huge or you can find any information on it and you start realizing wow he did that with that music and stuff and like that's one thing another here I'm bringing up Questlove again like when he gets people on his show like he'll find out like sometimes they didn't even use a certain kind of instrument they went and they brought it through like a processor or something and changed the sound on it just to like try something different you know and it's like see that's the kind of shit that's really cool you know like let's see what we can do different here and then it's catchy and it's like you think it's something else entirely you know and, so what musician do you feel you mentioned Les and you mentioned a couple other people who do you what musician do you feel most connected with yourself who do you feel like that's my beacon that's my you know my go-to
As far as a musician,
yeah
oh man.
there's a lot isn't there
I mean, I can't deny the Claudio Sanchez, man. Like I'll keep talking about Coheed all day if you let me. But it's only because like first off, nobody listens to this band. I've found there's like me and like three other people in the world it seems like that listen to this band, right? So it's like a select group, but they have so many songs. And I have followed this guy like through his trials and tribulations and music writing for years. And I've seen the band play I think 7 times now
yeah
live. Um, but man, he's so inspirational to me. I don't know what it is about it. Plays guitar, sings, writes 90% of the music for the band. You know, the most of the band is just there along the ride. You know, they're just there for moral support sometimes. I think,
mm-hmm.
but it's a necessary component.
Oh yeah
And I kind of it resonates with me a lot because my songwriting techniques are I don't know a little weird because I don't like working with other people
yeah
at this point. I mean, I like working with other people, but I
on your
just
own stuff
my own stuff.
yeah
In at the end of the day, if I ever wanted to perform this stuff live, I would need a band because I can't play all the instruments at the same time.
yeah
Um, but this guy, I watch some of the videos on him, and he does it all himself.
mm-hmm.
Most of the parts for when he brings stuff to the band, he's already got a demo recorded.
yeah
He'll sing it. He does a little scratch drums, even if it's some fingers on the desk for drums to keep the beat.
uh-huh.
And you see him bringing these songs to the rest of the band, and it's like there's something going on in that guy's head. I want it. I want in there.
you know there's it's amazing how someone like I always feel that way about Trent you know like he is just he does everything on his own and then when I listen to his stuff and I'm just like man it's amazing how these guys just like these auteurs are just like where does this come from you're thinking in your head like you can do everything from like the most mellow stuff to like the most heavy like
Mm-hmm.
gut wrenching feelings in your stomach you know and would there be any kind of certain style of music you might want to learn someday
I mean, I've kind of wanted to get back into my country roots a little bit.
yeah
I'm getting a little older, and you know, the testosterone's starting to drop a little bit. You know, I'm starting to finally mellow out.
yeah
Finally starting to
oh
mellow
it'll
out, and
never mellow out
and I can enjoy some of those songs now. Where through my, you know, late teens and 20s and even my early 30s. I country music, I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't do it, man.
Oh yeah.
I but now I'm, like I said, it's aging on me, I guess.
Oh, I feel.
And
Oh, I know. I know.
I've always played, like, when I do play guitar, I always play like chunky, uh, distorted guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife's trying to get me into acoustic,
Mm-hmm.
so I'd really like to get some of that country feel going on, man.
Maybe give Bo a call. No, that's cool, man. I mean, it's I feel you, man. Um, so
Even
do
for
you
one
feel
song would be great.
what's that?
Even for just a couple songs would be great.
Oh, come on,
I don't think I want to go too deep in that direction,
full
but
country. Don't want to go full country this yet.
right.
No, no, that's cool. I mean, I mean, some of the greatest artists do that. You know, like, hey, I'm gonna dabble in this. Look at freaking oh, I'm like, I can't believe my age. The lead singer of Slipknot. You know,
Oh, Corey,
Corey. Yeah.
I almost said Corey Haim. No, I don't remember his last name. I know it's
Taylor,
Corey
Corey
something.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Like he is all over the place. He can do country, hard rock, fucking like
He's
he is.
amazing.
It's this. So it's possible, man. Just, just do it.
You never would have saw that. You never would have realized that side of that guy,
Nope.
and until he kind of opened up and let himself out there, with his
Oh,
solo projects. And man, he's really good.
yeah, I've had much admiration and respect. I think because some people like are too scared to go out of that that square peg and say I'm going to put a circle in here and see what this does and I love that. I love that a lot. Um, you think music comes easy to you? Then you talked about playing your own music and how much you love doing that. Do you think it comes easy to you, or how does it usually come? Is like I heard people say like it comes in my dreams sometimes. I wake up and I gotta play it, and stuff like that.
I guess yes and no. Like I play by ear, so I can sit down and usually like play along to mostly anything,
Mhm.
but actually creating music, it's a little harder, because unless you have like a direction or a vision that you want to go in,
Mhm.
it's hard for me, at least anyways, to get that first stepping stone, I guess.
Yeah.
Even if you do have a vision, for a song, that first step of like, where do I start, is pretty rough. And then you look at people like Bo, and I'm jealous of him. He's got his acoustic guitar and he can sing while he plays the acoustic guitar, right?
Mhm.
I can't, man. I don't know. I've
Yeah.
tried for years singing and playing at the same time. I guess my brain's just not wired that way. Um, but that part of it is pretty rough. Um, as far as after you get that first stepping stone
Mhm.
in the recording and making a song process, I feel like that part does come easy to me, because as soon as I have a groundwork, layering other instruments and arranging something, that part comes easy to me. It's
Cool.
just the initial step is probably the hardest for me,
Yeah. That's crazy. I would have thought it was the other way around, man. That's for me. That would be the hardest part is the layering and figuring all that out. I'm like, ah. um, if there's a song you like, if there's a song you could cover, what would it be? What would it be? What song would you like to cover or redo differently? Is there anything that you've heard? You're like, man, if I could make that like kind of song, I would do it.
Oh man. Actually, there's one I'm working on right now, because
Mm-hmm.
a couple weeks ago, my wife and I were sitting down, and I told her, I said that I wanted to work on a cover, right?
Yeah.
I was like, I can do anything. I can do any song you want. And we were starting to throw around some songs, and um, there's one that I really want to do, man. It's are you ready?
Uh-huh.
Royals from
Really?
Road.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really want to remake that song, man.
Do it, man.
Put a little heavy guitar in there, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what direction I want to go yet, but I really want to remake that song, man.
Mm-hmm. Right on, man.
I don't know of any other ones that come off the top of my head, but That's the one that's on the docket.
On the docket. I love that. So where did the name TinLee come from?
It's actually in my name, man. So my name Dustin Lee Foulk.
Oh, okay.
I love my mom to death, but not really sure why she named me Dustin. I just really don't like that name, man. Like if I could and wanted to, I guess, you know, I'd come out as an artist of my own name, but there's kind of a anonymity, an anonymous kind of feel to the TinLee thing. Because so if you cut out the DUS in the front of my name and just put the tin from my first name and my middle name, TinLee. I came up with that name. It was like 10 years ago. I don't know what I was going through that I just was like, okay. And what's funny is I said that if I ever start a rap career, it was a joke then, right? It was a joke then, right? I was like, if I ever become a rapper, my name's gonna be TinLee. And then last year I decided I was gonna start putting out some of my music, and I didn't want to put it out under my regular name.
Yeah.
And so the TinLee thing kind of came back around, and I was like, I could make this work, man.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I love it. I really
one of those. I got really lucky, honestly, that no one out there right now is using that name.
Oh, and I love how you make the L big too. That's like cool as fuck, man. Totally rocking, dude. I love it.
Thanks, man.
All right. Well, we're gonna get into I gave you some questions before we had our interview. To give you some time to think about some things. What is your favorite song?
Man. So I had a few
right.
on this list, okay? But I narrowed it down. Okay. And it's a song that whenever it comes on the radio, I'm just immediately in a good mood. And the song it's a great story. It's got guitar solos. So Fastball, The Way.
Oh man.
One of my favorite songs of all time. I don't know what it is about the song, man, but like I said, when it comes on, it's immediately turn it up and play it loud, and I just love it from start to finish.
I knew what the meaning of that song was at one time too, back when it came out, because that's how old I am and dated. But the guitar on that song too is amazing, dude. Like the guitar is really good because it kind of goes all over the place a little bit.
It's got a twang to it and a delay, and oh man, it's great.
Wow, I wonder. I should look them up later when we're done.
I wonder what they're doing now, huh?
Oh hell yeah! Do you have a favorite album? You kind of already went into that, I think.
Yeah, that favorite album of mine, man. If I had to narrow it down to any Coheed album, it'd be the In Keeping Secrets and Silent Earth 3. But really, any of those albums, man.
Yeah.
It's like a clockwork with them. Every like 2 years, new album. Every 2 years. So it might be next year. It might be the new Coheed album. That's my favorite album. But
there you go, man.
Of all time, man, for me, that's the one. That is the one.
So would you say what would you say your favorite genre is? You kind of delved around there a little bit of everything here. So
dude, my favorite genre is like the perfect like fine line in between hard rock and metal. So like Senses Fail, the band Senses Fail, and My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
And what other ones? The Used. Okay, those bands, I'd say, like, and Coheed, of course, but those bands are like right in that perfect pocket for me, to where there's regular singing, there's some screaming, there's heavy guitars, there's extra light pretty guitars. It's just like a perfect balance, dude. That's my favorite genre, right in that fine line between rock and metal. Some of them call it, I don't know what, Senses Fail called it New Age. I don't think that's new age.
No.
Doesn't sound like it.
There was quite a bit of bands like, I was in my 20s when the 90s music wave came along, and there was quite a bit of bands that definitely tested the territory of doing that, the hard to the, to the soft, to the back and forth, like bands like Jane's Addiction, Smashing Pumpkins, they just were able to, like, we're going to make it really light here, and then we're all of a sudden going to get really heavy, during the song, and I love that. I love that because the change the tempo in a song is like, as a musician, I mean, it's really like amazing that you can do that and like be pristine at it in a way. Like, wow, the transition is just awesome, And I love
that's the part that does it for me, man. Because metal's great if you want balls to the wall, go for it the whole time. But it's those songs that really bring it up and down, and
like a roller coaster ride.
It takes you on a journey, yeah, like a roller coaster, yeah.
First, what would be your first song that you would go to then? Like, what is the song that you like? We kind of delved around that a little bit, but I call first song the first song. Like, if anyone was to say, "Hey, this is the best song that was ever written," this is the first song.
Best song that was ever written?
Yeah, in your opinion,
man,
like your first song. I call it the first song. It's not, everybody's best song is going to have a different thing.
That's a rough one.
Yeah. Okay, it's cool. Man.
We might have to circle back to that one. That one is.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, it's like I always do that with people. Like when I get on them one-on-one, I'm like, because there's certain songs I look at and I'm like, man, the engineering on that song is just fucking, like, here's like a go-to for me. Like I can't do it either, it's hard, but like Marvin Gaye's Mercy Me, oh god, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out here.
No, you're all right.
But like, here's an album, for example, like Dark Side of the Moon, like that whole album, the engineering in that album, the compares to, like, people compare that to like Pet Sounds and to like Sgt. Pepper, like the whole engineering just like basically kicked down the door when those albums came out. And there's a lot of albums that have done that now, there's a lot of albums out there that people just don't realize, that are out there, and people are like, you need to listen to this. This is the shit, And you've kind of delved into that here, which I think is really awesome. There's a lot of things in here that even me learning, after all these years, is great to hear, because it's stuff I'm going to check out later, What is the first concert you went to then?
One of my first concerts would have been Sum 41. Back when I was I was like later, I guess, it would have been late in high school, I think.
Yeah.
But Sum 41, Newfound Glory. We went up and saw them. Where did we see those guys? I want to say it was in St. Louis. It was kind of a weird summer for me, man. I think that's probably the first one that I can remember going to. I don't know if it was exactly, but I remember the first summer that me and my friends decided that we were going to start going and seeing bands live. We must have taken a couple trips to Chicago, one trip down to St. Louis. I think me and a buddy went and saw CKY up in Freeport that summer. But I'm almost certain one of the first ones, man, was Sum 41 and Newfound Glory.
Do you have a favorite one that you've been to? Do you have one that's like, that was like the best show I've ever been to?
Oh man. Best show I've ever been to. Okay. Yeah, there was one. It was a show in Chicago. Avenged Sevenfold, My Chemical Romance, Coheed and Cambria concert.
The lineup.
All three of those bands, man. I don't even know how they even got all three of those bands together for a tour, but that was probably one of my favorite experiences, partly because of the trip up there and the whole cooler full of Jello shots. But
had a good time when you went to that one.
But yeah, man, that was probably my favorite concert of all time, because you got those three just huge bands in my eyes all at the same the same day, same stage, just blew me away.
Nice. Really, really nice. Who would you like to see? Who would you like to see live that you have not seen live yet?
That I haven't seen live?
Yep.
Man. I want to see someone I want to see some blues, man, live.
Yeah. Fun.
I don't really know a whole lot about blues music, but I just know the vibe, okay?
Yes.
And I'm feeling that vibe lately.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get more into blues, and I want to see some great blues musicians play live, man.
Yeah.
No one in particular that I can think of to come off of the top of my head, but I want to get into that a little bit more. Going out to see people, it's hard these days, you know. People
Yeah.
don't play a lot live, but I don't even know if there's anywhere around here like that where there's like a lounge,
Yeah.
like a blues lounge.
The only blues thing I know of that they have is the Blues Fest every year, downtown.
Yeah.
But yeah, that unfortunately, being here, you'd have to go to like Chicago or something like that, to like to be a great place, to see any kind of blues. I've been fortunate enough myself to see some blues artists that I'm very lucky that I got to see, and it's amazing. Like that is a whole different like feel and genre, man. It's a good genre, man. It's like the whole history of blues is like I can go on for that forever. But
I've been getting into that lately because it seems that there's no set in stone reality to it, to jazz, from what I've seen. Like you get some of these jazz musicians up on stage, man, and they'll play something different every night. It could be the same song, but they're playing it completely different because they're playing it from somewhere else. They're not playing a song from, on a railroad, right? They're playing it on an ocean. They're just kind of going with the waves, playing whatever they feel at the moment.
I watched a really great documentary over the weekend on Miles Davis called The Birth of Cool. It's on Netflix, just so you know.
Okay.
And
check that one out.
Oh, he definitely was all over the place, man. And that's the most money I've ever spent on any music in my life has been him. I've got like about 6 box sets of his music. Like he is like that to me, like, but that's why I'm doing this whole podcast, because I love music so much. But for 10 years when I worked in a music store, I learned a lot about music, and what's amazing, like the rabbit holes I got taken down because of that. You get into Santana, and Santana's telling you about Miles Davis, and it's like before you know it, you're like, oh my God, why didn't I ever listen to this guy before? And it's like, wow, what's he doing here? And it's like, oh, he influenced this person and this person and this person. You just learn so much about different blues artists and jazz artists, and like how like they influenced rock and roll in so many ways, and like how that created this whole tree, and it's a great feeling. I hope you do. I hope you really go down the blues rabbit hole. There's some cool shit down there, man. Who would you like to collaborate with? If you had a dream collaboration, who would it be with?
Dream collab with any other artist, huh?
Yep.
Wow. I've been getting into making some electronic music lately. But I wonder, does Moby make music anymore?
I know he came out with like a biography, I think last year or the year before. As far as him making anything, I'm not sure. But yeah,
I think that would be a good time, man.
Yeah,
that guy's as far as electronic music goes, he's ahead of his time, man.
He was one of the biggest to break too. Like as far as like a name brand, when it comes to that, he's up there, man. It's
nothing over the top.
No.
From nothing over the top that I've ever heard from him, but you could just tell that the guy's got something going on like in his head that he needs to share with other people.
Yeah.
Just to sit down and even, like I said, you were saying, collaborate with for one song, man, would be so great. Just to get into his head just a little bit, see what's going on.
I'd love to hear that. That's who you crazy heavy shit you can come out with, man. Any producer, or do you know much about producers at all?
Dude, producer that I've been looking at a lot lately is Phineas O'Connell.
Okay.
That's Billie Eilish's brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. He produces a lot of her music,
Yeah.
and from what I was reading, he produces a lot of people's music. But he I've watched some different breakdowns of his mixes and the recording process and productions that he goes through, and um, I'd really like to work with him. It's almost like a bare bones production style that I've seen him use.
Yeah.
Because if you listen to like Billie Eilish's songs, man,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
there's barely anything to those songs, but it's
Uh-huh.
he captures her voice so beautifully and puts, just the right effects on there.
Yeah.
Um, just makes it sound so huge from nothing. That'd be it, man.
I'd love to.
Phineas O'Connell, dude.
Definitely gonna tap into that too when I'm done here too. Thank you. I didn't realize all that. I mean, I've listened to her, but I never realized that he was the man behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Any instrument that you want to try out, maybe enjoy learning?
I want to learn more about the piano in general.
Mm-hmm.
In school, I did some music theory stuff that kind of I didn't really get into as much because music theory kind of hurts my brain a little bit. Um, because like I was saying, I play by ear, and so when I'm plucking something out, it's just whatever sounds right to my ear that I kind of weave it in, to the music.
Yeah.
But actually getting into music theory and the different chords and chord progressions and fifths and sevenths and all this nasty stuff you can do on the piano, man. That's one thing that I'd really like to learn, because I just pluck around on it right now.
Yeah. Cool. Right on, man. Um, have you been to any festivals before? Like just go to a show and watch?
I've been like the Warp Tour a few
Yeah.
times, Lollapalooza once back in, I don't remember when that was exactly.
Yeah.
Um, that was fun. They had what was it, Incubus? Incubus was playing that year.
Mm-hmm.
Queens of the Stone Age played Lollapalooza the year I went. Um, yeah,
Is that a dream of yours someday, maybe to do something like that?
dude, Lollapalooza would be cool.
Yeah.
Or there's something local back where I grew up called summer camp.
Yeah, I know who that is. My buddy was
Um,
talking about that last night.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that I always heard people, oh, we're going to summer camp this year. Man, the first couple times I heard about that, I thought people were just going to
Actual summer camp.
some sort of summer camp, dude. So, but this huge music festival around where I grew up, and
Yeah.
I'd really like to, if not just go, if not play at that festival, man, I'd like to just
That'd be
go
awesome.
some
I can
year.
see that happening. Like before you know it, it'll probably be happening. Um, I always like to bring up some obscure things here because people like me loving music so much that people look at things sometimes and they go, "Man, that album art is just awesome." Like, is there any album art that sticks out to you? Like, you look at that artwork and go, "That's kind of like something I like to do with my artwork," or you just appreciate it.
I mean, one thing that, or I guess the story of like the Slippery When Wet by
Yeah.
Bon Jovi,
Oh yeah.
that really sticks out in my head,
Mm-hmm.
because they came to them, and I don't know how much money they probably put into the design for that
Yeah.
album cover,
Yep.
and then for them to just be like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
and then what, they sprayed a hose on a trash bag, wrote "slippery and wet" in the water, took a picture, and that's the album artwork.
And one of the biggest selling albums of all time.
Right. It,
It's and it's also like a fuck you in a way too.
almost,
Like,
yeah.
like, oh, you're not gonna let us bring out the album cover we want. Well, then here, this is what we think of that. Fuck you.
I love that story, and that's one
Wow.
that really sticks out to me, man.
Different time, man. Now that album get no problem
Right.
today getting released. That cover, like, oh my god, I've seen more than a fair share of covers coming across the 90s was like, how did that get out? Like it's just, yeah, that's funny. Oh man.
Everything's all graphic design these days. It seems like you don't really get a whole lot of
No.
the artwork like you used to. It's all just you know
Mm-hmm.
graphic design. I wish I could get into that, but
Oh,
I've got on as far as artistic abilities,
mm-hmm.
music, man. I'll go all day with music. As far as like drawing or any type of
Yeah.
graphic design, nah, man. It's a F
It's,
grade.
let somebody else take care of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what other projects you working on right now? You working on anything right now?
Right now, I've got I've got quite a few songs that I'm working on, which is a headache. Really, just to give you a little idea of what goes on in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
pretty much when I wake up in the morning, I kind of sit behind the computer and open up Ableton Live and try and make a little melody
Yeah.
on the keyboard and for the day. Um, and I make beats, right? I just make these tiny little beats, maybe like 8, 16 measures. And I do that almost every morning, man.
Wow.
But it helps me kind of get my creative juices flowing in the morning,
Okay.
But I've got so many of those things just sitting there that I'll never do anything with. I've been trying to go back in now over the last couple weeks because I just released that last song on February 5th, and I wanted to work on a new song,
Yeah.
but I didn't really want to let the stuff I've got go to waste. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So right now I'm looking at a lot of those little quirky, 7 in the morning coffee, uh, coffee beats,
Yeah.
and trying to see if there's anything I can pull out of there and
Yeah.
anything like that. But that's pretty much where I'm at right now.
I hear that
Nothing
a lot.
nothing huge, but just kind of picking through some of my things that I've messed around with over the last year
Mhm.
in my spare time and seeing what's there, try and pull something out.
Like I hear that though with like a lot of interviews I hear with like musicians and stuff. They have that same thing, man. They like have stuff that they never have gone back to because they're like, wow, maybe I'll come back to it someday. So you were talking about Grab the Ammo. That's what you just released in February, or sorry,
Yes,
not February.
sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, is I think February 5th.
February 5th. Wow. Yeah, and that's I noticed it's available on Apple Music. What else is that available on?
Everywhere, man.
Yeah,
Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, pretty much anywhere you can download and play music.
yeah, sweet. I'll let everybody check that out. You got about 4 or 5 songs out on there too. I noticed you got like
There's four right now.
yeah.
I'm thinking about I'm trying to bring over some. I've got a 3 song demo that I released like 10 years ago
Mhm.
on SoundCloud
Okay.
that I'm trying to decide, I guess, if I want to just bring those songs and just drop them into my catalog
Mhm.
as TinLee, because these were like songs that I wrote with uh, an ex bandmate of mine.
Okay.
Um, but he no longer with us, we'll say. But I want to bring those songs over, but I also don't because of them being kind of a separate entity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this catalog's going to grow over this year. I can promise you that.
Sweet. I love hearing that, buddy. That's awesome.
Oh yeah,
So you do some engineering stuff for people and stuff too, then sometimes.
yeah. Just last year, I was working with my friend Oscar, who's down in Texas.
Mhm.
Got into singing. He's wanting to, be a rapper, basically. I don't know if that's what he would say if he wants to be a rapper, but
Yeah.
he's got a genuine love for music, and he kind of contacted me, and because I had just graduated from Full Sail University for my audio engineering and all that, and I helped him master all those tracks. So basically, he recorded and did whatever he did back at his home studio and sent me all the tracks, and then did the mastering to them, and put those out on Spotify as well. So that's one thing that I was working on last year. I actually did a feature on one of those songs. It's
Yeah.
it's a little weird, man. Song "Rainy Days."
Yeah.
He somehow got me to do a feature on there, and it's like a rap song. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, man, but I'm gonna go for it. And so
Nice.
I did a verse on that song, and
Uh-huh.
and then I decided I was gonna record some guitars after my verse too, and so put that on there. And just kind of one of those things. I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna make the cut, but I sent it back to him, and he's like, what did you do to the song? That's He's like, that's you on guitar too? I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to add a little flavor to it, man.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to get into that, doing features for people, man. That's so exciting to me. That was one of the most exciting things I did last year, probably.
How can people
Was
get a hold?
someone else. How can people get a hold of me?
Yeah.
They can actually. That's a good question. That is a great question. I don't know if you can direct message me on Spotify.
Okay.
Artist radio? No. I just
Email
drop my email, man. DustinLeeFoulk@gmail.com.
Okay. Also on, I'm sure, on like Facebook and stuff like that too, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right.
I really do need. I'm starting to try and expand this TinLee thing, right?
Yes.
So I don't really have a website yet
Yeah.
or anything like that. Now that you kind of mentioned that, how do people get in contact with me? I don't know, man. I gotta make a website.
Well, we'll get that up and going here, man. We'll get the wheels turning here for you, and before you know it, it'll be up, and we can tag it along with this podcast at some point.
Yeah, people can always contact me on Facebook too, man.
Yeah, you can actually create your
Underneath
own
my
page
name.
on Facebook too. I did that with this entity.
Okay.
So
Cool.
it's easy to do too. Just so you know, you can talk about that later. Any else you think you want to promote or talk about?
I don't know, man. I'm pretty pumped about the new song that I put out.
Yeah, I love
Grab
it.
the
Dude.
ammo song.
You were like shocked. You're like, I can't believe you bought it. I'm like, yeah, of course I bought it, dude. What the hell? I'm gonna support you, man.
I give a little insight to that song, man. So I got a wild hair at my butt one day and was like, today's the day, man. I'm writing a new song today, and I turned the guitar amp on, and started playing some guitars. And I was like, I want like a basic guitar line, but something heavy. And so I just started plucking around, got a nice riff right on the guitar.
Yeah.
Recorded that. I seriously I did a one take on the drum set. That after listening to it was pretty well in time, so I didn't have to do a whole lot to it. So I just kept it. I just layered the heck out of the bass guitar, man. I think there's like 4 different bass lines on that thing.
Nice.
But I do bass lines weird, man. So I'll do like a really thick low end bass, and then I added a slap bass, but put a filter on to take out all the low end, so all you hear is that pop from the slap bass.
Okay.
And then added in some, I think, 2 other bass lines real high up on the neck. But man, I literally wrote the music for that song and recorded it same day, one day.
Wow.
Here at home. And then my ghostwriter, my wife, we sit down and we write lyrics. She writes most of the lyrics, honestly, to my music, because I don't know, I have a hard time coming up with lyrics for whatever reason. She writes a lot of my lyrics, so she wrote a couple pages of lyrics for this song, and then I kind of chopped it around, and that part is the hardest part, I guess,
Yeah.
in the song recording process is the vocals, which I'll never be satisfied with. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm sure that it's hard, but it sounds good to me, man. I love it. It sounds great.
Every time you listen back, man, it's you hear one little thing and like I should have changed that, but then you're like, no, this is it. This is the take.
Yeah.
Got to go for it, man.
Do it. Do it.
So yeah, you can expect a lot more music from me this year.
All right.
Promises.
Well, I'm gonna definitely promote the hell out of you, man, once you get it out there.
Thanks, buddy.
I want to thank you for doing this little podcast with me today. Again, this is Dustin Foulk with the band TinLee. That's TinLee. You can get that on Spotify and Apple Music. Check them out. And thanks for joining us today.
Amen. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
I loved it, brother. Thank you so much. All right. Hold on a minute here.
Nice, man.
Hold on. All right. We're good.
All good?
I hope so. Well, let's see here. It's still recording.
The